Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies, gentlemen, whatevers. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live here on YouTube, brought to you by us, the folks at Nerd Caliber. Of course, as you can see, I am the folks at Nerd Caliber tonight. Uh, Team members are off doing various things, and I'm going to do something that YouTube says you should never, ever, ever do. And that is recommend that if you want to, you might want to pop over to a different thing to watch for a while. One of the team members that's here on a regular basis, Greg, is actually right now doing a live reading in cosplay as Hagrid from Harry Potter and the Prince of Azkaban, Chapter 10. And it's on Facebook on Weasley's Whimsical World of Harry Potter. It's a public open group, but if you want to go check that out, he's probably got another 15 minutes in him. Natalie, welcome to the show. Luminous, welcome to the show. PMG Gang, Naughty Gang, Not Gang, welcome to the show. Mervensley, what? What? Luminous, hello again. Oh, Rodimus Primal, welcome to the show. Mervensley loves Beast Boy. That's awesome. Sadly, no Beast Boy news on the show tonight for you, so I'm sorry about that, but hopefully something will come up. But yeah, if you're a Harry Potter fan and you want to bail for about 15 minutes or so, jump on over to Facebook, Weasley's Whimsical World of Harry Potter, and watch Greg as Hagrid read the last bits of the 10th chapter of Prisoner of Azkaban. Rose, hi, welcome to the show. And I'm going to do another, this isn't really sort of a plug, but it's sort of we're patting ourselves on the back. A Nerd Caller team member adjacent, Ashley Rogers' wife, Diana, Diana, um, was nominated as for a Hugo Award as Best Editor in Long Form. So fingers crossed for that. Um, uh, Hope that that comes through for her. So yay, we like that. We love celebrating anything that is a milestone in the families of people here on our team. So with that said, and since we've obviously got nothing to promote because there ain't any cons going out there. Rodimus Prime says, I love Rodimus Prime from Transformers. And Rose, thank you for becoming a member. Awesome. You get the lovely little swoop. Cross swords is actually what that's supposed to be, in case anybody really wonders what that sort of X symbol is. It's supposed to be cross swords because we are Nerd Caliber, like Excalibur. We just spelled it wrong when we started. Some knowledge for you there about us and what we do and occasionally do wrong. So we're going to jump right into the news. Since it is me, I'm going to do a little bit more pontificating than normal, but it's still going to be a pretty quick show. And the first thing to pontificate about is that just popped up on your screen is a screen grab from one of the trailers, I think the most recent trailer for the movie Artemis Fowl, a Disney movie adaptation of the young adult book series by Ewan Colfer. Am I getting that? Ewan Colfer, yeah. And the news here is that instead of moving this movie to a different date, it was supposed to premiere May 29th, like is happening with almost all of the other Disney and Marvel movies. They're getting new release dates, and we'll get into all of that later on in the show. Mervensley, thank you for letting us know your name. You don't necessarily have to, and as a general rule, I avoid giving up personal information like that on YouTube chats, but that's your call. So the news is that Artemis Fowl is going to be going directly to Disney Plus instead of getting a theatrical release. And there's been a lot of speculation that movies will be doing that. This is the only one that Disney has announced. This is everything else will be getting released. Rose, question: what are you talking about? The movie Artemis Fowl and how it's going straight to Disney Plus. If I'm talking too fast, I apologize. If I'm not clear, I apologize. If the image that popped up on your screen, which I identified as a screen grab from Artemis Fowl, wasn't clear, again, my bad. And in general, if that's what you're asking, Rose, we are talking about nerd news that came up over the past week since our last show, and letting you know what's happening, maybe a little bit about why it's happening, or theories about why it may be happening. And in this case in particular, The last trailer got a lot of the hardcore fans of the Artemis Fowl book series really ticked off because it makes it seem like the character of Artemis, who is really a deeply anti-hero type individual, is more of a Disney complicated hero, young man trying to struggle against the evils of his crime lord father's past, as opposed to somebody who absolutely, with great relish, adopts all of his father's techniques, strategies, and so on, when he discovers that there's this whole fantasy world, just beyond where anybody in the normal world can see, and he is a particular choke point in the communication between the two, mainly because his father was apparently doing really horrible things to the people in this fantasy world. In the book series, he embraces that. I mean, he's not a villain in the sense that he doesn't ever do anything that you really have to, with anybody with a sense of morality has to go, okay, that's it, he's done. But boy, does he embrace the techniques of his villain father. And the trailer made it look pretty clear that that wasn't going to happen, and it looks like Disney got the message pretty clearly that mainly the built-in audience that they were looking for, the people who have read the book, aren't going to be that interested in it. So, and then there's a lot of people who thought, the costume designs and the character design look really stupid. The special effects kind of look cheesy. It'll be interesting to see what reviews come about this when it finally does hit Disney Plus, which we don't know when that is. We did know it was going to be released on May 29th, so I think we can guess that it's going to hit Disney Plus before May 29th, but maybe not. But anyway, so that's it. If you were looking forward to Artemis Fowl, you're going to find it on Disney Plus, not in a theater, sometime coming up soon. I got to say, when I first saw the first trailer, I was kind of looking forward to it, and then when I saw the second trailer, even not knowing the controversy about how they seem to have nicened up Artemis, I just kind of went, yeah, no, this really doesn't look that much more like anything I want to see. In fact, it's looking a lot less like anything I want to see. So, we'll see. Rodimus Prime, what is Nerd Caliber? Is it a Comic-Con or something? No, we are a website, YouTube channel that covers all kinds of stuff related to nerd topics. So we do movie, TV show, comic book, anime reviews. We go to cons and do videos, profiling cosplayers. We do photos of cosplayers from cons all over the country, the United States anyway. Mostly on the East Coast, so that's where we're based, but pretty much everywhere. And that's what we are. We like to, I think our tagline is we're a nerd lifestyle magazine, except we're not a print magazine. We're an online magazine. We're like 60 Minutes, except with a lot less confronting people and a lot more cosplay. So hopefully that answered your question, Rodimus. Our next topic on the news tonight is, and speaking of, let's get the speculation hat out. So, Last of Us Part 2 was announced last Thursday by Sony that it was delayed indefinitely. We don't know when it's going to come out. This also, oddly enough, was going to be coming out May 29th, same date as Artemis Fowl. It's kind of weird. But now we don't know. We really have no idea. Sony has said that the global crisis is preventing us from providing the launch experience our players deserve. And that would make sense. If your marketing people aren't able to collaborate and do what they would normally do to have a big event or have that launch experience at a big convention coming up like E3, then sure, I can buy that. Saying indefinitely then sort of means you don't know when you'll be able to do that launch experience because you don't know when there might be a con that you can have that launch experience at. But that very same Thursday afternoon, Naughty Dog, the developers of the game, said the good news is we're nearly done with development of Last of Us Part 2. So remember back when PAX East happened at the end of February and the beginning of March, and Sony bailed their presence completely because of travel concerns over the coronavirus, which made sense. There was an awful lot of theory going around then, is that the conspiracy theory was that, well, just that Last of Us Part 2, which is what they were supposed to be really showing off, that was going to be their big demo, wasn't ready to be shown to anybody. And at the time I went, oh, no, 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 of course, it's, take this coronavirus thing seriously. Yeah, Sony just said, nope, let's not do it. Um, Even though, as some people pointed out, well, yeah, Sony USA could certainly have brought people over from Los Angeles. But so now with Naughty Dog saying the same day that Sony said the launch is indefinitely postponed, that they are nearly done with development, yeah, you couldn't feed the conspiracy theorists better raw meat than something like that, Naughty Dog. I mean, it makes it look like what they said back in February was completely true, that you guys weren't even remotely close to having a demo ready product. Mervinsley, bye. Thanks for stopping by. Glad you could come by. And Rodimus, well, so let me wrap this up before I really jump into the next topic. So again, we don't know when. My guess right now is that we will not see a release of this until another convention event that they could tag it to will happen. Ideally, if it happens, PAX Prime at the end of August and beginning of September. But they haven't made that announcement either. So they may hold it until next year and do it at C2E2. Not C2E2. At Consumer Electronics Show, the CES. So anyway, Rodimus Prime. So we aren't a Comic-Con. We put on our own event, which is an educational con. It's coming up July 18th and 19th in Mansfield, Massachusetts, called the Cosplay and Photography Expo, and it's master class award-winning cosplayers teaching you how to do anything you want to learn about how to make anything in cosplay, and very, very experienced cosplay photographers and videographers teaching you that end of the cosplay experience, how to take photos with video and so on. So we have our own event, but we're not a Comic-Con. I don't know that we personally will ever come out to LA. We have team members that have done cons at LA, and we keep sort of shuffling around trying to get different people out there. We do have people that go to the West Coast. We have a guy who regularly goes to Emerald City Comic Con. But personally, hey, so Hagrid's all done, and he's in the chat. So thanks, Greg, for popping in. You know the old block your video for calling it that on YouTube. Oh, you mean mentioning? If you're worried about mentioning the term coronavirus, they have changed their policy on that. They won't block the video. Which, thank God, because that was just a stupid policy. If we have a news segment that talks about why Sony didn't come to PAX East, and in fact we did that when Sony canceled prior to PAX East, we use that term a number of times in that video, and it is still monetized. So even then, their policy wasn't that strictly enforced. But thank you for your concern, Rodimus. But it's you don't need to be that worried about it. Anyway, so Last of Us 2, who knows? Who knows? Fingers crossed it's this year, and that's the best we can probably say. So moving on to our next topic, and that is actually some really cool news, and sort of related to the guy that just jumped into the chat, Hagrid. What popped up on your screen is the front page loading screen if you go to the brand new website, Harry Potter at Home. And this is something that J.K. Rowling and the publishers, Bloomsbury and Scholastic, have created, that is a whole bunch of puzzles, games, videos, interactive stuff that's all free. It doesn't cost you anything to get into it, for those poor kids who are stuck at home during all of these quarantines and schoolwork from home and so on, to give them some fun stuff to do. And I think that's really cool. Greg, those were the innocent days 203 years ago. I'm assuming you're quoting something from Hagrid, but I don't know. Dark City, amazing. Thank you. I'm glad something's amazing. Uh, if it's in reaction to the news that J.K. Rowling and her publishers have created this free, open to use website, that's pretty cool. Even more cool, and I didn't see this earlier, that apparently prior to this, she and the publishers had already given an open license to all teachers to read any of the Harry Potter books aloud to their students during any online or virtual classrooms. So again, yay, congratulations to them. Glad they're doing it. I know that Rowling has gotten a bit of a bad rap lately, and deservedly so. She said some really stupid stuff. Um, and Sony and PAX East, yeah, it did seem like it was 203 years ago. How could that have been at the beginning of March? And it seems like it was, literally the last PAX East, like 2019. Wow, what a long month this last month was. And it's going to get longer. This month is going to make March seem ridiculous. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about things you can do while you're sitting at home, and one of them is go to Harry Potter at Home, the website, and do all sorts of Harry Potter stuff if that's what you're into. Dark City. I hate JK as I'm Scottish, and she lives in Scotland and is an evil, greedy woman. I'm happy she's done some good. I don't know about the evil, greedy. I certainly know about the. She made a ton of money. She's also given away a ton of money. And evil, she's certainly done said a lot of bad things recently. She is a bit. She is a lot trans exclusionary. She's basically not satisfied with her work and continues to muddle with it, and that's a problem. But Greg, because now 1 day equals 1 week, 1 week equals 1 year. Wasn't that in Wrath of Khan or something like that? Anyway, moving on to our next topic, and this is for all the anime weebs out there. Throw your hand in the air. Not that I'll be able to see it. If you're a weeb, that is an image from the very last episode of the anime Tiger and Bunny, all the way back in 2011. Was a pretty big hit. Spawned a whole series of manga after that, a movie that came out, and finally, we've got news that there's going to be a second season of Tiger and Bunny 2. It's going to happen in 2022. Now, if you're not familiar with this, hold on, our very restrictive chat policies has hidden your message. Let me read it, Dark City. Yeah, I don't see why they hid that. Okay. Oh, I hit the wrong button, Dark City. Sorry, I deleted your message. Can I get it back? View deleted message. Now, nope, I can't get it back. My bad. Dark City was pointing out that Rowling interferes with Scottish politics, and she is an English woman, not a Scot, which is true, or at least the English woman part of it. So again, if you want to put that back in there, Dark City, I'll hit the right button next time. But my apologies for doing that. I did not mean to permanently hide your post. There's nothing wrong with what you were saying. Anyway, Tiger and Bunny is the story of these heroes in a rather American-like city called Sternbild City, who, stop me if this sounds familiar, who work in a corporate environment where the hero industry is an industry, and compete for who's like the number one most popular hero. Sound familiar? Sound a little bit My Hero Academia like? Well, this was 2011. Now, it's a little bit different in that there is one particular network show called Heroes TV that they all participate in whenever there's any sort of crime, and the heroes go out and sort of try to determine who does the best in stopping the crime, and it's all broadcast live on Heroes TV, and it's sort of a reality TV show thing, which so far My Hero Academia hasn't gotten into, at least in the anime. I don't know whether that's something in the manga, which is much further along at this point. But it also takes a really interesting, different corporate take in that all of these, each one of the heroes is sponsored by a corporation, and in the well, yeah, Greg says the boys. No, it's not that kind of anime. It's not that level of bloody violent or anything at all. Um, the corporations, in if you can find the anime in its Japanese broadcast, ideally with sub or dub, whichever one you do, you'll see that all of their uniforms and their suits have actual real Japanese corporate logos. Amazon.com.jp, Pepsi, gorgeous, one of the female heroes, Blue Rose, is sponsored by Pepsi and has Pepsi logos, like on her costume. It's wonderful. You can see this the first season on Netflix, but all of that has been taken out. All the corporate logos have been just washed over. That you don't see them at all, which is kind of a bummer. Because that's a really funny part about it. You're watching this thing and suddenly this hero comes along and it literally actually has like the what's the bank? Sunbank, SoftBank. Actually has the SoftBank logo on their armor. That's just, for somebody who's into tech and covers tech and so on, that was kind of like mind blowing. See, it didn't hide it this time, Dark City. Your chat went up, so there you go. And I'm glad that they learned from that, or the algorithm learned from that, I guess. Anyway, so Tiger and Bunny, sometime in 2022. I suggest if you like, let me go back and show you, sort of armored heroes kind of show. If you like to see something that was kind of an inspiration for My Hero Academia, go watch the original. If you can find it in some sort of streaming format where you're seeing the original in Japanese, so you can see all the corporate logos all over everybody, do that. And then looking forward to the season 2 in 2022, which is way too long from now. But there have been an awful lot of recent anime announcements about second seasons or follow-on seasons for anime that came out last year that have been put off indefinitely. Because of the effects of the most recent announcement by the Japanese government, of at least in Tokyo, of a voluntary self-quarantine. So, yeah, the anime industry in Japan is having as much of a hard time right now as the movie industry or the TV industry here in the United States. And, I don't anticipate a lot of new stuff coming out in the next couple of seasons, which is going to be really a bummer. Moving on to our next topic. I love that image. That is, of course, from Bioshock, from the original game. You had a little sister and a big brother. The news is, and we covered part of this news last week, that Nintendo was porting the game, the Borderlands series, a bunch of the games in the Borderlands series to the Switch. Well, as it turns out, there's a bunch of things that was sort of hidden in there. One of which was that Bioshock and a collection of the Bioshock games called Bioshock the Collection, creatively, is going to be ported to the Switch as well. And some Star Wars games. So Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer are going to be ported to the Switch. Jedi Academy is available right now, according to this. Then there's a bunch of new games that they've coming up, a bunch of sequels and so on that they announced back 2 weeks ago, actually, at their Nintendo Direct Mini. And for some reason, everybody just jumped all over Borderlands. And this news just sort of slid through. So, Elvira, hi, welcome to the show. Greg, not anime, but season 2 of What We Do in the Shadows starts next week. Good point. If you are a fan of Taika Waititi and his kind of humor, and if you've not seen either the documentary, the what do they call those? Fake documentary of What We Do in the Shadows, or the TV series that came about from that, go watch it. It's hilarious. Just funny stuff. in the TV series, this character is not in the documentary movie. There is an energy vampire that is exactly that guy that you've tried to avoid either at school or at work at the office all your life, and they nail him so perfectly. It's it's cringe-inducing to watch his interactions with people because they get him right on. Anyway, what in the world is Vinland Saga doing there from way back when? So moving on to our next topic, and I've switched topics around because we're going to do the Ezra Miller stuff at the end. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Katie. Hi, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about all of those changes that happened that Disney and Marvel have finally announced what's going when and where. So we knew about this. They had already announced this a little bit ago. That Mulan is moving to July 24th. July 24th was supposed to be Jungle Cruise with Dwayne Johnson. That's moving to July 30th. That Black Widow is going to November 6th. November 6th was supposed to be when Eternals debuted. So Eternals is moving to February 12th, 2021. That was supposed to be Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is now moving to May 7th, 2021. That was supposed to be Doctor Strange 2. Doctor Strange 2 is now jumping all the way to November 5th, which, let's see, what else have they announced? Oh yeah, that was supposed to be Thor Love and Thunder. So now Thor Love and Thunder is jumping all the way over to February of 2022, February 18th, which was a spot that they had set for some untitled Marvel movie. Kitty Clark doll maker. Awesome. I'm glad you make dolls. That's cool. So now, what hasn't moved? Now, they haven't moved Black Panther 2, which was May 6, 2022, and that's still going to happen. But, and this sort of snuck in there, again, this is one of those, like, they just snuck this in the release. They had a movie set for July 8th, 2022, which was an untitled live-action Disney Marvel pick. They've now made the announcement, just slid this in here, that is Captain Marvel 2. Captain Marvel 2 will debut on July 8th, 2022. And why they just sort of snuck that in there at the end of this whole, this whole falling dominoes of movie release dates is kind of surprising. I'm not really sure why they didn't make a bigger announcement about, hey, guess what, folks? Captain Marvel 2 is happening, and we now have a date for it. So, now granted, everything is up in the air right now. Every marketer is completely discombobulated. Proper launch strategies are kind of out the window. So I guess it's easy enough to say that this just got swamped in all the work from home and the rescheduling and whatever. But hopefully they can make a bigger splash with that announcement, and we can find out a little bit more about, guess what, Captain Marvel 2. Nature Sweet Whitey, hello. Nature Sweet YT. Sorry about that. Didn't want to phrase it exactly the way I just did. Luminous, I wonder when movie theaters will reopen. I suspect group gatherings might be discouraged until there's a vaccine. So I don't think that could possibly happen, Luminous, because that would not drastically reduce our economy. That would put us into a depression, because there will not be a vaccine for at least 12 months from the start of the work on it, which was probably in early February. More like 18 months. That's just the FDA's approval window. A vaccine, since it's going to be probably injected into people, has to go through safety trial, efficacy trials. It has to prove that it works. It has to prove that it works in models, and which either animal models or computer models or whatever. Then it has to prove that it can work in humans, and it has to prove that it's safe in humans. Those clinical trials can't be rushed. there are what they call emergency exceptions to some of the FDA stuff, but let's say the path was 18 months, it might reduce it down to 12. Um, so, you know, I can't see them continuing this discouragement of large gatherings up to that point. If you can't go to dinner with people, if you can't take people out to the movies, if you can't get a construction crew on a construction site, you know, the economy, which is already teetering at the edge, it's gone. We are in a straight up depression if that's the case. And folks, sorry about ranting about all of this stuff. And Luminous, well, it was a legit question, so can't blame you for that. Nature Sweet, remember from yesterday? Oh, awesome! You were on the show about Bounce Flash and how I use it at conventions. Cool. Welcome back. But anyway, so those are the changes. We don't know. Dark City, I wonder what's happening with the Blade reboot. I haven't seen any further news on that, Dark City. If I did, I'd love to tell you some because I'm really interested. I am a Mahershala Ali fan. Everything I've seen him in, he's amazing. I loved him in Luke Cage. He was absolutely fantastic. So, he's just going to kill it as Blade. But beyond that, I don't know anything. Nature, I changed my profile. In that case, I probably wouldn't have recognized you from or remembered you from yesterday, but thanks for coming back. So we're moving on to our last topic, folks, and this is a difficult one to talk about because it's still kind of up in the air as to just how legit this is. Somebody yesterday, it might have been Nature Sweet, posted in my chat about, have you seen the video about Ezra Miller? And I hadn't. I looked at it today, and oh my God, apparently Ezra Miller, allegedly, was caught on video at a bar in Reykjavik, Iceland, choking a woman and throwing her to the ground. Alex Does Things says, I just want to come out, so I'm bisexual and non-binary. I don't know that this is the best venue for doing that, but congratulations. Good for you. I'm glad you've come to that realization, or comfortable enough to talk about that realization. Excellent. And you should be applauded for being brave. But anyway, so Ezra Miller was at this bar that I'm not going to try to pronounce because it's Icelandic. But apparently it's a coffee house because the last name of it is Kaffehus. And there is a video that shows him grabbing this smiling woman by the throat with one hand, and then shows somebody doing this, and then turning and basically just putting her to the ground. And the person filming it just says, "Whoa, bro," and then stops filming. So the bar has said that yes, Ezra Miller was a patron, and yes, Ezra Miller was thrown out of the bar for inappropriate behavior. It certainly looks like there are plenty of people who were at the bar who are identifying that was him in the video. The action that he's taking in the video, it's kind of Nature Sweet. Okay, we didn't need to know that. If you're talking about me talking about Ezra Miller, I'm sorry. If you're talking about Alex Does Things announcement, you say that again and you're banned from the channel. You don't do judgment on here. I do judgment, and my judgment is for people who do judgment. Anyway, so it looks like Ezra Miller did something. Did he do a publicity stunt, which was just really awful and stupid and completely, off the mark? Maybe. I mean, there have been plenty of famous people who have done things like that before. Did they? I'm sorry, I've been misgendering. Ezra Miller is non-binary. Ezra Miller says that they prefer they, them, but absolutely doesn't sweat he, him, or anything like that. So, my bad for not properly using the pronouns that Ezra prefers. Um, or it could be that Ezra Miller did, in fact, grab somebody by the throat and put them on the ground violently out of anger. And nobody in Miller's camp has said anything. Miller hasn't said anything. So this was Saturday night, and the video appeared Sunday. So by my count on the calendar, that's way past April 1st. Dark City says, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. If it happened Saturday night, that's really way past April Fools. And I can't really imagine somebody who's generally known as being a pretty understanding, pacifist kind of guy, kind of person, doing that as an April Fool's joke. That just doesn't fit with everything else Ezra Miller has put out about their public persona. So we'll have to see how this plays out. Somebody's going to have to make a statement about this. Miller's camp, Miller's publicist, somebody. And we'll have to see. Dark City, I wouldn't put it against him doing it as an April Fool's, as Ezra is the cousin of Filthy Frank. Yeah, okay, good point. I forgot all. Boy, did I forget all about that. But again, the timing doesn't fit unless it's some sort of prank for something else that Miller was doing with Filthy Frank or something. In which case, this has got to come out because there are people who are already all over Twitter that have canceled him completely. That are calling for Warner Brothers to completely recast him in any upcoming DC stuff, and or of course the Harry Potter, not the Harry Potter, the Fantastic Beasts franchise. So, if it's a prank, he could lose business off of this prank. So he's gonna have to get out in front of it really fast to make sure we all know it was a prank. So according to the bar, so Dark City says, I read that it was posted on the 6th but filmed on the 1st. According to the article in Variety, which is the one that is confirmed, let me see if I can see this. Oh, Dark City, you called it. Variety has confirmed that the incident took place around 6 p.m. on April 1st. So my bad. I had read in another article that it was Saturday and then got posted up on Sunday. You are right. It was filmed on April 1st. If it's an April Fool's joke, he's got to get out in front of this real fast, and take care of it because it could cost him business. Realistically, it's probably going to cost him business. Demonstrating or even showing that you're potentially violent to your fans as a joke is going to turn some people off that might have considered casting you for something going forward, and that's just a given. Fingers crossed that you're right, Dark City, and that it was an April Fool's joke and not just something that happened to happen on April 1st. Because I like Ezra Miller otherwise. I think he's a very talented young man. I like his stances. I like his openness. But if it's not a joke, that's a real problem for him. If it is a joke, not talking about it is a real problem for him. So get ahead of this, Miller. Elvira, no. I'm assuming no is about Ezra Miller possibly being either violent to a fan or making a practical joke about an April Fool's Day joke about being violent to a fan and then not clearing it up in time. I don't know. So that's it. That was our last topic. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Wonderful chat. Very interactive. I loved it. Thank you all for being in the chat. We, again, don't really have much of anything lined up. We're working on another costumer cosplay profile. I'm hoping to get it Thursday night, but it's being a little challenging pinning the person down. And it would be a special one, but I don't want to give away exactly what it's about until we can actually put up the schedule to talk about it. But if not, ideally very soon. And then, of course, next week, next Tuesday, we'll have another one of these. And we'll be talking about nerd news then. And once again, tearing my non-existent hair out because there are no cons to go to. If you like, go to nerdcaliber.com. You'll see one of the things that we've been doing lately is doing a retrospective of individual types of cosplay over the many, many, many years that I've been shooting cosplay, related to something that's newsworthy. Like the most recent one was with the recent launch of Resident Evil 3 Remake, or actually technically it's just called Resident Evil 3 because the original game was Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So I did a Resident Evil gallery that goes all the way back to 2010, I believe. So 10 years. Dark City, thanks. I don't know how super interesting I am, but thank you for the statement. But thank you for coming back. And on that note, good night, folks. Stay safe. Wash them hands. Cover the face. Go out the bare minimum that you can. 6 feet distance. All the stuff that everybody's telling you to do. They're telling you to do it to keep old folks like me from dying. So try not to kill me. Bye-bye.